Everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we have a review of a pretty interesting little knife. I've been excited to do this review for a while. I've been sitting on this one for a while, but it's finally time to review it. This is the Camillus G Hammer. A very, very interesting little knife. So let's go ahead and kick things off, as we always do, with a blade length measurement. Let's start off with that sharpened edge. Going to be a little bit difficult to get an exact measurement on the sharpened edge. We have this really pronounced recurve and kind of a tontoed, tip here, kind of bellying out. But let's do our best. Sharpened edge, about a little more than 3¼ inches, like 3.3-ish. Let's measure the entire blade. Come in here about 3½ inches. So definitely a full-size pocket knife. Let's go ahead and grab our size comparisons. Here's the Rat 1. And here's the Rat 2. And there's that color change. I'm not sure why this desk does that, but it does. There we go. Let's go ahead, bring out our Civivis. There's our Praxis. And here's our Elementum. Ta-da! Let's go ahead and grab our USA made comparisons. There's our Bug Out. And here's our PM2. There we go. And let's go ahead and compare it against some other Camillus knives. First of all, let's bring out the Camillus Dominator 2. This is another Daryl Ralph designed knife. And let's bring out the Camillus Rain, which is probably my favorite Camillus knife ever. There we go. Pretty cool little knife. All right, what are we looking at for our materials? Well, we've got plastic scales, steel liner, steel clip. It is running on bearings, and this blade is 420 steel, kind of what Camillus always uses. All right, let's go ahead and go cut some stuff, shall we? Hey guys, are you ready to talk about the G Hammer? I hope so, because I am. This is a very cool knife. It's taken me a long time to get to this part of the review, but I'm very, very excited to finally be doing it. Let's go ahead and talk about this thing. So, Daryl Ralph design, we will have gone over all of that at the table by this point, but very, very cool knife. Look at that. Look at that. It is just wicked looking. So let's talk about the action. The action is very good. It's running on bearings. You can flick it off the holes. You can thumb flick it off the thumb stud. Reverse flick it off the thumb stud. You can even thumb flick it off the holes if you get it just right. You can use the flipper tab. Loss of deployment. The detent is very, very snappy. Very, very cool. One thing about the action, though, that I will say, this thing has horrible detent lash. Like some of the worst detent lash I have ever felt. Look at that. You can see it from there. Very, very bad detent lash, which sucks. But $20 knife, right? $20 knife, and that might just be unique to this one. Maybe I'll get another one of these before I film the full review, and then we can compare. But I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the carry. So we have a tip-up single position pocket clip. Whoops. It works. There's a little bit of traction underneath that clip, but it's not bad. It's not like a cold steel, so I'm going to eat your pocket up. These are also a little bit tight pants. It works fine. The knife itself is pretty lightweight. It's just basically plastic over steel. So yeah. Oh, we forgot to talk about the ergonomics. I knew I was forgetting something. It's always something, right? Ergonomics on this thing. It's got a crazy profile, but the ergonomics are not bad. I don't feel the clip. It's definitely a full-size knife. I wouldn't say this is the most ergonomic thing ever. I do wish there's some jimping up here, but it's also not uncomfortable. I could bear down on this, get ready for some Friday night gas station fight shenanigans. But yeah, it's comfortable. The texture here is textured. You can get some tactile grippiness. It's ribbed for your pleasure, and yeah, it's fine in the hand. So yeah, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. Recurve drop point blade of 420 steel, which is Camillus' favorite steel. Apparently, I've seen on Walmart's website that they offer this in D2. I heard about this from one of my viewers too. I want to get one of those. I haven't seen them in person, but if they do offer this in D2 and the D2 one is the same price as the 421, go for the D2 one, right? I will try to confirm that the existence of the D2 one before I film the full review, because it might also be just a labeling error on Walmart's site, but we'll see. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's cut some stuff. I have been using it. I might have a little bit of a dull spot there, but as you can see, the recurve catches material in there. Makes it easy to chop through. Your utility cuts. You do have kind of a secondary tip here. I haven't tried this before, so let's, give this a go. Yeah, it works. You can do it. It's actually not bad for a utility cutter. Again, that's where my dull spot is. Wish I had caught that before I came out here, but there we go. All right, let's go ahead and do our rope cut with that recurve blade. This should be no problem. Kind of no problem. All right, let's go ahead. Should do excellent on this too. Yep. Having that big kind of secondary edge out here that you can push down on, it really does just kind of destroy that rope. Very, very cool. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and do our little pool noodle slice. And we're just going to do one. Okay. Not great, but okay. Overall, not too disappointing. Look, wow, we got through this review cutting in record time. Look at that. So, there we go. Let's go ahead and get back to the table. Let's go ahead and get back to the table. Just had to make sure it wasn't me. Alrighty, we're back. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. Number one, this is a Daryl Ralph design. I've talked about this on the channel before, but Daryl Ralph has been one of my favorite designers for a long, long time. In fact, I think I've got something sitting down right here. Let me look real quick. Okay, I was wrong. I thought I had a little magazine sitting here in my desk. I don't. I was first exposed to Daryl Ralph through different knife magazines like Blade magazine, Knives Illustrated. And I got a lot of these magazines from a family friend when I was little. He gave me a bunch of these. And then, this is going to be stupid. I found out that at the time, the post office we were using, I would go and someone was getting knife magazines and they obviously didn't want them. They were throwing them in the trash. And these were like Blade magazine as well as like Bud K catalogs and stuff. So I take those magazines out of the trash and I take them home and read them. And in a lot of those magazines, I'd see advertisements for Daryl Ralph's designs. And a couple of magazines had articles about Daryl Ralph. And I thought that his knives looked so cool. And the gun hammer was one of the ones that I thought was the coolest. And now it's hard to get. I mean, a custom gun hammer, oh my goodness, is super expensive. But, even his designs that he made with like Mayer Co. and other companies, a lot of those are discontinued. You can't get them anymore. And so when I saw this knife at Walmart, I knew I had to have it. And I'm so glad I got it because it's cool to have a Daryl Ralph design like this. And I think this knife is very, very cool looking, and it's super Daryl Ralphy. And yeah, I love it. It kind of reminds me of the classic knife, like it reminds me of a bygone era of the knife world, which is weird because like I wasn't really a part of that era. I wasn't really into knives the way I am now back then. But again, I was a little kid looking through magazines, and so it holds a lot of nostalgia for me. All right. So all of that was a very long way of saying I like this, how this knife looks, and I love this Daryl Ralph design. All right, moving on. The ergonomics on this thing are actually very nice. So the scales here are contoured, as you can see there. The texturing looks kind of crazy and outlandish, but actually it works pretty good. I can get a pretty solid grip on this knife. There's nothing that immediately jumps out at me as being a problem ergonomically. Yeah, it works fine ergonomically. I enjoy it quite a bit. Next up, the clip does work fine. It's not exactly a deep carry clip, which I'm okay with. It's a big clip, but I don't feel it in my hand. It goes in and out of the pocket. All right, so yeah, there we go. And it's a tip-up carry, not reversible, which sucks, but there we go. Next thing, the action on this is actually really, really good. Very, very snappy detent. Very smooth on the close. You can reverse flick it off of all these holes. You also have these thumb studs, which are not blade stops. I kind of thought they were in the package, but they are not. I believe they are on the custom gun hammers, but not this one. There's their stop pin right there. You can see in there they've got phosphor bronze caged bearings, which is kind of cool. But yeah, really, really great action. Very snappy, and yeah, works really, really well. This blade, this is a really crazy blade. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is not a blade that I think is real great for EDC. Sharpening this is going to be a pain, but it's kind of cool. It's a drop point with this recurve. Kind of almost looks like a kukri blade, but not exactly. But yeah, very, very cool blade. Access to the lock bar is really great. The lock bar, it does look like just a sharp piece of metal, but it's kind of rounded over a little bit. It's not, it's not terrible. Next thing I like about this knife is the price. This was like $20, and yeah, a Daryl Ralph design for $20. It's built, fairly well. I think that's really, really cool. So if you see this in your local Walmart, go ahead and scoop one up because it's only $20, right? Alrighty, let's go ahead and get onto some negatives. Alright, so number one, this blade shape is going to be a negative for a lot of people, this recurve, and this is just going to be a difficult blade shape to sharpen. Even I don't really like sharpening recurves. I'm not even I, not like I'm, some kind of world-class professional sharpener, but, I consider myself decent at sharpening, and I don't like sharpening recurves, so there we go. The action is really great, but this thing does have horrible detent lash. Look at that. Now, this might be just a problem with this one, or it could be a problem with them across the board, but that's kind of annoying, and I think it's not just limited to this knife. Look at that detent lash. I think it's probably a problem with all of them, because if we look over here, that detent hole is exposed, and look how big it is. So yeah, I imagine the detent lash might be a problem around the board. Next thing, this one is slightly off center. That's not really a huge deal. It's a little more off center than I remembered. I could probably adjust that up. Yeah, there's a little bit of blade play. I can adjust it so that there's no blade play and the action's still good in it. There is, it's not quite off-centered, as off-centered as this is, so there we go. Next thing, the clip's not reversible. It's going to be saying to some people, but yeah, there we go. So let's go ahead and move on to my final conclusions. There is another version of this knife, apparently, that has D2 steel. I've seen it on Walmart's website. I haven't seen it in person. That would be really, really cool. I would like to get that one. However, it seems like it's the same price as the 420 steel version, which is a little bit weird to me. I wonder if it's a mislabeling on Walmart's website or something. Maybe I should order one and see. But if there is that D2 one, that's cool. They offer multiple versions, and the D2 one would probably be the one to get. Now, this knife does have some pretty serious issues, right? That detent lash, things like that. The exposed hole, the blade. However, I really like this knife. And a lot of that is because of what I mentioned earlier, the whole nostalgia thing. But it's cool to have the Sterile Ralph design in my collection. And if you're someone that also really, really likes Sterile Ralph, I can absolutely recommend this knife to you. If you're someone that's just looking for an EDC knife, probably pass this one up. There's really nothing to, you know, there's really no reason to get this. But yeah, if you're like me and you love Camillus and you love Sterile Ralph and you just couldn't pass up a Sterile Ralph design at $20, this is a no-brainer. This is an absolute no-brainer. And I think it's a really, really fun knife. So there we go. That's my review. Kind of an interesting little knife. Not for everyone, of course. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful to you. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.